Welcome back to the podcast again, you guys. Today's topic, fighting. Now, as you guys may or may not know, I really enjoy. I probably shouldn't say this. I don't necessarily enjoy. I do enjoy fighting. I enjoy the aspects of it. I enjoy the intensity that it brings. And by fighting, I should probably make it a little bit more clear. So I really enjoy the UFC. I really enjoy mixed martial arts. I really enjoy, any form of mixed martial arts. I probably shouldn't say UFC because those people that say, "Oh, you do UFC," it's mixed martial arts. I enjoy all aspects of martial arts. Personally, all I train for right now is kickboxing. I do kickboxing, Muay Thai, and boxing. Those are the only three that I do for now. I'd love to get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo. Those are things that I'm interested in for sure. Right now, my schedule is just not open enough for me to really partake in those activities, and I know that... I should probably explain this too. So I go to a UFC gym. I really enjoy the UFC gym for what it is, but I know that it's not the best. And there's a gym that's near me that is called King's MMA. And I'm sure there's a couple other different gyms around me, but that's just the main one I've heard of. And the problem with these gyms is I know they cost anywhere from maybe $100 to $200 a month, which is just too expensive for me to be paying right now. I just don't really want to be disposing of my money on a monthly basis towards that. But I do really enjoy it, and I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to get to that where I can do that and safely feel financially that that's something that I can dispose money into. Because I think the whole aspect of fighting is really important, especially for males. I think that knowing how to fight will stop you from getting into a lot of problematic situations. It seems to me that always the people who want to fight are the people who know the least about fighting. I was at this party one time. This was probably about 3 to 4 years ago. This dude was heavily intoxicated. It was at my close friend's house, actually, and it was probably about 20 of us that were there, 30 of us that were there. This dude got belligerently drunk, and he starts walking upstairs, and he starts screaming out one of this dude's names as he's walking up. He's walking up. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna mess this dude up. I'm gonna f him up. Blah blah blah. Whatever." So he's walking up and he's walking down the hall, and I'm watching this all take place. He walks straight up to the dude and just starts punching him. And these punches were the sloppiest punches ever. They were the worst punches I've ever seen in my life. No technique, swinging for the fences with no power. And that's what really surprised me is even people who think they can fight and who have the adrenaline pumping, they cannot fight for the most part. Again, it's a case-to-case basis, but for the most part, almost everyone thinks, some people say guys think they can do two things, fight and pick up women. I don't know who said that. I don't know if that's even a saying. That's what I've heard. I've heard that as a saying. I might be making up my own sayings. I don't even know. But it's there's so much validity to it. So many people don't know how to fight, and especially I'm mainly talking about guys. I don't think girls necessarily, maybe that's not really in their biology to want to fight. Some of them do want to fight, and I'm just generalizing. For the most part, most females do not enjoy fighting. Guys, on the other hand, more guys than girls enjoy fighting. So I'm just generalizing here. For me, what I've learned from taking part in again kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, discipline. Discipline's the real foundation to any martial art is discipline. And that's what really intrigued me about it is I'm not someone who necessarily is the most disciplined, and having these facets in my life helped me to understand discipline on a different level, especially with things that I'm passionate about. And again, knowing how to fight has stopped me from getting into sticky situations. I don't care to prove my external bravado by fighting people, especially people who don't know how to fight. What's the point of me fighting someone who doesn't know how to fight? even if I'm mad at the person, I don't see any warrant in me fighting anyone unless absolutely necessary. And that's what I think should be encouraged with everyone. Do not fight anyone unless absolutely necessary. Unless it's life or death, you should not be fighting. And if it's life or death, then you should be fighting as accordingly. And I think most people don't really understand that. There's been a lot of people that have gone to jail or prison for long amounts of time because if you fight someone, again, it's mainly life or death, and you could possibly kill someone. And if that happens, you'll be going to jail or prison, and those are the situations you want to avoid, unless absolutely necessary. So I think you guys are understanding the point here. Now, again, I'm not someone who knows a ton about fighting. I wouldn't consider myself a fighter. It's just something that I really, really enjoy. And, soon enough, I've never had any real fights in terms of amateur fighting in a ring, but that's something that I want to do. I've been talking to a couple of my friends, and this is something that I've discussed. Having an amateur fight is something that I'd like to do, whether it's kickboxing, Muay Thai, or boxing. One of those three things, preferably kickboxing or Muay Thai. Probably preferably kickboxing. I don't really use clinch work much. I don't really do anything for clinch work, so I do a little bit, but again, mainly kickboxing, I'd say. Kickboxing or boxing. Muay Thai, I probably get fucked up. Let's be real here. I'll probably get fucked up. But that's something that I'm willing to do. I'm willing to put my life on the line because this is something that I enjoy. And again, with fighting, I have nothing to prove. It's just something that I enjoy. I don't want to get any kind of brain injuries. I don't want to get any CTE. So I try not to really do any fighting, and that's why I might not ever fight in an amateur arena ever. It's just something that I've kind of bounced ideas off of with friends. But maybe one day. It's something that I'm still pondering. I just don't want to get into any situations. I don't really enjoy hurting people, and I think that most people would agree with this. I don't think anyone really enjoys hurting people unless, again, life or death. So it would be really interesting for me to fight someone and wishfully want to hurt that person in one of those scenarios, because I feel like that's the mindset that I'd have to be in. I'd have to want to really, really hurt someone to be effective in a fight. And that's the interesting aspect about fighting is there's so much that goes into it, right? There's the physicality part, there's the mental part. You have to have all those things in check, because if you got one of those things not all the way there, you're going to be in some situations. I've seen people in fights that mentally they're just not there. And it doesn't go well for those people, for the most part. And that's the interesting thing about fighting. There's so many assets to it. There's so much to it. It makes it really, really interesting. And it's a great way to blow off steam. If you're a person who seems to be angry at life, angry at the world, angry at someone, just you have nowhere to direct your energy, your passion, your anger, your frustrations. I think that fighting is a great way to do that. And you don't have to fight someone necessarily, but just learning how to fight, hitting the heavy bag, hitting a speed bag, hitting a double-ended bag. You can blow off steam, you can blow off frustrations, and you're going to feel 100 times better. And not only that, getting into great shape. I've never met, there are some fighters that aren't in great shape. I can throw out some examples like Roy Nelson. I think that's his name. I hope I'm not butchering that. Roy Nelson from the UFC. Big gut. And even people like Fedor Emelianenko. That person, he's not in the greatest shape, but he's a beast. And that's why it's so weird about fighting. You think you have to be in the best shape, but maybe you don't. I personally would want to be in the best shape physically, because I feel like that would give me the biggest edge, not necessarily just because of the physicality part, but the mental part. I'd want to look at myself and go, okay, that's what looks like a fighter. That looks like a fighter to me when I look in the mirror. And that's why I'd probably want to up my conditioning. I feel like my overall physique is fine. I think I'm a little bit too much on the bodybuilder side to be fighting, and so if I was to take an amateur fight, I'd probably lose some muscle actually, especially if it was kickboxing or boxing where I'm not doing any kind of grappling or clinch work. And I right now I probably weigh 170, 165, and again I would my walking around weight's about that, but I'd probably want to be fighting at maybe 150, 160 or so, somewhere in there. It just depends what the weight requirements would be. It just, it all depends on the situation. But yeah, that's I hope to dive in more into fighting. And again, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy talking about it. So I'm probably gonna do more. I'm gonna discuss more into it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day.